Hello everyone and welcome to another live from the workshop, bigger on the inside, my occasional TARDIS custom series. And of course today we are going to be making a custom TARDIS, and this is the default TARDIS as seen in the Series 9 finale Hell Bent, which is the TARDIS that the Doctor steals whilst back on Gallifrey, which later is adopted by Ashilda and Clara and becomes their diner TARDIS, if you like. But this is the TARDIS in its default form. I'm going to do this live from the workshop slightly differently in that I'm not going to actually show the build process, as it were, because realistically a lot of the build is actually already done, as you can see. We'll come back to that in a minute. But also because the only other thing I've really got left to do is to spray paint it silver, and it's difficult to spray paint on camera, but also it literally is just me spray painting something, and I don't think that's particularly entertaining to watch on camera. So I'm going to do that off camera and then you will see it finished. But obviously the build itself is actually a 3D print. It's one that I've designed together myself. I'm very pleased with how it's come out. So I'm going to, again, as usual in my 3D prints, I'm going to try and hopefully put this up on Thingiverse for anyone else who wants to make it. It is made in relatively accurate 5-inch scale to go with the figures. I happen to have actually here a spare 11th Doctor, not a 12th Doctor, so you can get an idea of the sort of size and scale of it. And obviously this particular one doesn't want to stand up very well, but you can get an idea of the size and scale of it, and obviously they do fit inside as well. Obviously with the 12th Doctor's figures being slightly out of scale, I don't know if it's going to particularly fit very well with him. But the problem was, well, do I make it in scale with a figure that I know is not particularly in scale itself, or do I make it to a scale that looks right with the other figures? So I went with the latter option just purely because I think it will look better alongside everything else. But obviously, as you can see, there was a slight knock there, but it has revealed one feature of this, because this does indeed have opening doors. Obviously there's nothing inside there yet. I'm hoping that I will have a custom TARDIS card inside, but that is something that at the time of recording I'm still working on. But to give you an idea of the parts that go into this, so it has obviously the top part and each individual door. I do need to take this apart to paint it, so there is a reason for me taking it apart. So we've got the two doors, which are just on a little pin pivot, so you've got two pinholes there, and obviously you've got pinholes this side as well on the roof. I've also got this lip edge on the top of the roof, so you can't really see it when you're looking down on it. If you're looking up, you are able to see it, but it's in there just to stop the doors swinging outwards. And then obviously the base comes off, and you've got the TARDIS print there in its component parts, as it were. Obviously your two doors and your body. I'm just going to leave it there because I'm going to paint it now. So that's the actual build itself. It's one that's come out really nicely. It was a little bit more tricky than I thought, but it certainly is one that I'm looking forward to painting. But obviously I'm looking forward to painting it. You lucky people are about to see it painted already. So let's see how, for me, future me, got on. So here we have the finished Hell Bent TARDIS, as usual. I'm very pleased with how it came out, but I'm particularly pleased with the paintwork on this, because obviously, as you can see, if I turn it slightly, you've got the more sort of chrome finish on the roof, the top part, the base, and the doors, and then the rest of the body is a more sort of silvery grey. The way that I've got that is just to paint it an ordinary grey, and then on top of that I've given a slight sort of, not a wash, but some silver paint from a tube rather than a pot, which gives it a kind of I'm going to say silver wash. It's not what I mean, but it just kind of gives it a light cover of silver, and it just makes the base colour of the grey look a bit more metallic, which has worked out very well. And then obviously I said the chrome finish on the doors and the top and the base was using my Mirrorist mirror paint, which I've had left over. Obviously that is quite expensive, but I've got it, so I'm going to use it. But the same technique could be gotten if you just used purely silver paint on the top and the base, and then just a slightly more sort of grey colour for the body. Overall, it comes out very well. Now, in terms of figure scale, this was a difficult one because obviously this is from a 12th Doctor episode. However, if I bring in a 12th Doctor figure that I have here, and I stand him next to the TARDIS, you can see he does sort of look in scale. But the thing is, if he's standing in the TARDIS, he only just fits, and obviously it means that it looks slightly out of scale. However, the 12th Doctor figures are known for being slightly bigger than they need to be, so what I actually used as a reference to build this was an 11th Doctor figure, and if I stand him next to it, you can see it looks a bit more in scale, and then if I stand him in front of the doors as well, you can see it fits in a bit better. Now, the files that I'm going to be releasing for this are in scale with the 11th Doctor figure, I shall say, because that is just the easiest way to model it and make it sort of generally in scale with all the other figures, which does mean it's out of scale with the figure that the episode it's supposed to be from, i.e. the 12th Doctor, but, you know, it was a bit difficult to do in either or. But obviously, you know, 3D printed files can be rescaled, so if people wanted to print it in scale with the 12th Doctor figure, it wouldn't be that difficult to just scale it up a little bit and print it in that. Obviously, then it will be out of scale with the other figures, but it was a difficult thing to decide which to do, so I just decided to go with the 11th Doctor figure, just to make it sort of fit in scale with all the other things in my collection and figures wise. But obviously that's not the only thing we've got on here, because the last thing I want to show you, and there's a reason I'm going to show you it last now, which I'll come back to in a minute, but obviously the doors do open, and as you can see inside we do have a TARDIS interior. Now, this particular interior design, I have to say, I got off DeviantArt. I'm going to provide a link to this in the description because I want to give the creator of this art full credit. This was by Thy4205 on DeviantArt. Thank you very much for doing such an excellent render. I am not going to obviously put this render in with the files because I do not own it. I have used it purely for my own personal use, but you know, I do want to give credit to the artist who did it originally. You know, I'm not planning to share this image or send it out. I've measured this and rescaled it for my own purposes. There's nothing to stop other people doing the same, but it does look absolutely brilliant. Obviously the TARDIS console looks a little bit higher, sort of midway up, because I tried to get a sort of perspective shot of making it seem like there was a bit more floor to walk into it, and it does sort of work from the right angles, but you know, it was the best I could do with what I had to work with. But you know, I think it does still look great. You know, the fact that it is curved at the back, I don't think really distorts the image that much. And you know, from the front like that, I really do think it does look very good, and it really does fit very well to the TARDIS itself. The only slight issue with this build, because obviously I'm limited to what I can do with 3D printing, because you know, I'm still teaching it to myself and things like that. There isn't any kind of spring mechanism in this to make the doors hold open, so you do have to close the doors manually, and obviously that does mean it can be a bit difficult to get them to shut fully because of the limited space. So what I tend to do, which I'm not going to do now because I have to take it off camera to do it, but if you just give it a slight tap against the base of your hand on the bottom, the doors should swing inwards. But what I would probably recommend is just to sand down the peg points on the doors, just so they've got a bit more of a free movement to them. I did do it myself because originally they just wouldn't move at all, so I sanded them down slightly, and obviously now they do move, but they're still a little bit stiff, which is why it's difficult to open and close them. But if you did it right, they should easily swing close and things like that. But obviously this is not the only TARDIS 3D print model of the default TARDIS I'm doing, because if I just move this over to one side slightly, and I will bring in this one, which is obviously, as you can see, slightly larger, but this is the name of the Doctor default TARDIS, seen in the flashback to the first Doctor stealing it. This one is, as you can see, still very much a work in progress, but this one will be coming out we'll be doing a video on it. The video on it will be coming out next weekend, so be sure to check out keep an eye out for that. But very much like this one, it is in scale with the figures. It tried to make it in scale with the two, and of course this one as well does indeed feature an opening door. So yes, let's well, I was going to say let's wait and see, but that's actually quite apt, because even I don't know at this point, as you can see, how it's going to turn out, because I'm still in the process of making it. But that brings to a close another Live from the Workshop, bigger on the inside. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. And be sure to description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation, and you can get involved. There's exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and funding my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.